Hello everyone, this is Stings with Pro LOL Guide, bringing you a guide for everyone's favorite stealthy assassin, Shaco. Shaco's a pretty awesome champion with a very high skill cap. He's a little tough to pick up at first, but once mastered he brings great ganks with built-in map control and a high damage output. Let's head over and take a look at Shaco's pre-game setup. First things first, let's set up the runes. You're going to want to run magic resist blues to give you a little bit more survivability in teamfights. For your yellows, you'll want to pick up flat armor. This makes jungling a lot easier, and it also makes it so your health isn't as low for your first and second gank. As for reds, armor pen is the way to go for obvious reasons. And as for quints, I like to pick up flat AD. The extra damage really helps your early ganks. Now for the masters, you're going to want to go 2109, picking up increased minion damage and increased buff duration. As for summoners go, you're going to want to get Smite, of course, because you're jungling. And as for your second summoner spell, it's more tailored to your preference. I prefer Ghost, but Ignite is also a very good choice. I don't agree with Flash on Shaco, because the majority of the time, where Flash would save you, Deceive saves you just the same way. And Ghost will get you out of a lot more situations than Flash will. Along with Ghost gives you more damage and the ability to keep up with your opponents during ganks. Alright, now that we've got all the setup out of the way, we're going to have to take a look at Shaco's ability so you know exactly what you're doing. First things first, Shaco's passive. This passive gives him increased damage when he's standing behind his target. So when you're in the jungle, if the jungle minions target your jack-in-the-boxes, be sure to get behind them to do the increased damage. And while you're ganking an opponent, when you open up with Deceive, be sure to be behind them so the auto crit does extra damage. Speaking of Deceive, this brings us to Shaco's Q ability. This ability is called Deceive. What it does is make Shaco turn invisible and blink him to a target location. He will stay invisible for about 3 seconds, and his next attack will auto-crit. Do not use this ability for catching up to opponents that are already walking towards you. Try to save it for either a killing blow or when your opponent starts running away from you to catch back up to them. Don't forget to use this ability to dodge enemy abilities also. Shaco's next ability is called Jack-in-the-Box. It places a small Jack-in-the-Box on the floor. Enemies that walk by this will get feared, and the Jack-in-the-Box will shoot them for a short duration. This is what makes Shaco's jungle very quick. The ability gives a pretty decent amount of map control, along with a good amount of CC. So you're going to level this up first, and the number one rule of Shaco is never let your Jack-in-the-Box be on cooldown. Always place one. It will save people's lives. Shaco's third ability throws a dagger at a target, slowing them for a short duration and gives them a chance to miss on their auto attacks. It deals a small amount of damage, so really just try to use it for the slows. Shaco's ultimate creates a clone of himself that deals 75% of Shaco's damage. Using this ability while a projectile is coming at you will prevent the projectile from hitting you at all. It's kind of like a built-in spell shield. Keep that in mind as you can easily dodge Karthus' ult, Kate's ult, and many more ultimates. Now to go over the order you level them in, you're going to want to level your ultimate over everything, of course. And prioritize leveling Jack-in-the-Box first, and then your 2 Shiv, and then Deceive. So that's R over everything, W over E, and E over Q. Picking up your first level in Deceive at level 2, and picking up your first level in 2 Shiv at level 3. Now that we got all the pregame setup out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the game. Let's go over Shaco's jungle route real quick. It's a little more intimidating to learn than any other jungler, but once mastered, it lets you get through the jungle and gank very quickly. So keep that in mind. Mastering this jungle route is very important. So to start off the jungle, you're going to want to grab cloth armor and 5 health potions to start with, and sprint over to the small golem camp. You're going to want to place 2 Jack-in-the-Boxes there, and then head over to the lizard camp. You're going to want to place 2 Jack-in-the-Boxes there as well. Then the wraiths should spawn in a matter of 10 to 5 seconds after you've placed your 4 jack-in-the-boxes. Smite the big lizard and then head over down to the small golem camp. Attack the golems and leash them into your 2 jack-in-the-boxes. And then once the fear is over, place a 3rd jack-in-the-box behind the 2 golems. This will fear them again, making it so you take hardly any damage. Once you've cleared that camp, head over to the lizard camp and keep placing jack-in-the-boxes until your smite has 10 seconds left on cooldown. Once that has happened, attack the red lizard and pull him into your jack-in-the-boxes. And place another jack-in-the-box behind it, as you did at the golem camp. You will not need to use smite to get lizard, and this will leave it open to finish off your wraiths, or to just smite one of the little lizards. It doesn't really matter. Once you finish the lizard, you have 2 options. You can either finish your wraiths or go straight to a gank. I normally finish the wraiths, but if your opponent's mid is overextended or your opponent's bot is overextended, it's a very good option just to go gank. Now let's go over how to gank on Shaco. Since a lot of the times everything is warded against the Shaco, you're going to want to deceive before you actually get to the bush. This is why you have Ghost. You deceive and then Ghost. This will let you get in range of the opponents before they even know you're there. And then you'll get your auto crit and it'll be an easy first blood. After the first gank, you're going to want to go back and buy some boots and health potions and a ward. You buy the ward to ward your opponent. Another important part of Shaco jungle is to gank your opponent's jungle, to counter jungle constantly. Normally by the time you've bought it is normally around the time your opponent's jungle will start their lizard buff if they took the standard route. This will set up the perfect opportunity to gank. Ask your support to CV their red. If they're there or the red is still there, head over there and start setting up some jack-in-the-boxes to steal this red. Let him go into the red and tank it a little bit, let it get to about halfway, then kill him and then take the red. Beware to watch top and mid lane when you're doing this, so that way you don't get killed. If you see that any of them go missing, instead of taking the red, just get out of there. Kill him and just leave, because they're probably coming to kill you. Throughout the rest of the game, you should be giving your buffs to your carries and prioritizing ganks over everything. During the late game, you're more of a backdoor character and trying to bait one of their opponents to come out of their team fights to come get to you, and then you dashing over to the team fight, so it's a 5v4. I cannot stress enough to always place jack-in-the-boxes around the map. It will save so many lives. Let's go over the build order real quick. Your build order should be something along the lines of this. Cloth armor into boots 1, into Wriggle's lantern, into either Berserker Greaves or Boots of Mobility. This is up to player preference. I personally prefer Boots of Mobility and then switching them into Berserker Greaves during the late game for more damage. And then after that, you're going to want to pick up Madreds and then Banshee's Edge. And then from there, you have 2 different options. You can build an Infinity Edge, or you can go to Warmogs and Atma's Impaler. I personally prefer Warmogs and Atma's Impaler because it gives you a little bit more survivability that you don't have in team fights. So that way you can actually do damage. If your opponent's like split up more, then Infinity Edge is a much better option because it gives you the ability to pick people off very easily. If they have one target that just needs to die very quickly, Infinity Edge is a much better option. If you go the Infinity Edge route, just grab Infinity Edge and I'm sorry, I do not know what the item is called, but 40% armor pen item. I'm really sorry that I do not remember what it's called. I hope you've enjoyed this guide. Please leave feedback and subscribe to my channel. It really supports me. I will be uploading a Shaco gameplay later on. I will put a link to the gameplay in the description below.